multiple meetings and multiple stakeholders in a document that's this big, and you're looking at birds and bees and all that stuff. And an EA addendum, basically, you just have to go back and say, we're making these changes, and these are the reasons why. And you have a little bit of a document that describes that, which is pretty much the report that we've done already. Now, there is always, and one of the concerns about doing an EA is always you're going to get, kind of get a bump up. The nice thing with addendum, that's all that they can talk. That's all that can be bumped up. Like the only thing they can bump up, they can't bump up and say we don't like the orbital, we don't like, where it's located, we don't like this, we don't like that. That's all off the table. It's only, we don't like the fact you made it smaller, and that's all that they can comment on. So it definitely limits the scope and limits the risk. The other thing the MOE was very adamant on was that we should, or the municipality should be telling the public that if you don't do the full build now, you may have to add that capacity in the future without funding, just so that they're very clear that the cost would be higher, or potentially higher in the future. So that was kind of what MOE said on the EA stuff. BCF, they were pretty non-committal to. They basically said until you put something in front of us, we can't comment. But we've looked at the BCF agreement and the application, and all those shortlisted items, as far as we're concerned, will meet BCF and can be funded. And basically, really, the BCF application was all focused on effluent criteria. So as long as we meet that effluent criteria, or design to that effluent criteria, then the funding is okay. You still would have to go back, I think, and do what they call a scope change request. It's basically a letter saying, this is what we're doing, and this is, we just want to change the scope.
Attach the report.
Yeah, and it's not an onerous exercise. It takes a little bit of time, but in my opinion, as long as you don't ask for more money, BCF is usually pretty okay with giving scope change requests. The last one I did, we applied for a new outfall for a sewer treatment plant into Lake Ontario to kind of circumvent tight effluent criteria in a small stream. Found that wasn't the right thing to do, and we decided to expand the plant. And they went from a pipe in the ground into the lake to tertiary filters and stuff, and there was no problem as long as you're meeting that same intent of improving the environment, that kind of thing. Jim?
I just
go ahead, sorry.
I go back to that motion again, and I kind of just thought of something. Like option 4, is it too close to our last tender that we're going to get?
Option 3 is close.
Yeah, option 3 is close. Option 3 is close.
Which is actually option 2, okay?
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's option 3. Yeah.
Option 1's identical. Option
Right.
2
It's the
will
half.
be, it's half, but we'll have to sort of make sure we get at least 30%. So that's going to be
the test.
That's going to be the test. That's right.
Yeah.
Options 2 and 4 are totally different. There won't be any issue. We don't have a number for the
Yeah, and we've actually taken off
second
the
bullet.
first one. It's actually they're really 2, 3, 4, 5, whereas the 1 we take, that's the full build. So full board off, but yeah. Yeah, I mean that is an issue that you gotta be careful with. Okay, just moving on quickly
Just
here.
following up on Jim's question. I know you can't really answer it, but I'm gonna, the engineering or redesign cost is between 3 and 4 is 500,000. What would be if we didn't go like for the tendering? What would the cost be for if the contractor come after us? What would they usually get?
They would come after you for what they call loss of profit. Is really what they come after you for, which and that could be, they could make an argument for say 10%, so it could be 2.3 million. I you never know until you
Yeah,
go
I
through the
realize
process, but
that.
that would be my thought, is that probably 10% would be kind of the risk.
It's not so much whether, how much they go after you for, it's how much you're gonna spend in legal fees,
Yeah.
fighting. Because usually those things get settled out
Yeah,
after the fact, they very rarely reach court,
but they
but it's
cost
how
money to
much,
get there.
it's how many hundreds of thousands you spend on legal to get to that. And it is all
Proper procedures on all.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I guess considering what we have here as estimates, putting these out to tenders may come in below the estimates.
I've tried to be conservative, because the last thing I wanted to do was throw numbers up here and be back in that same situation that we're in today, but 6 months down the road or whatever. So I've tried to be conservative, although I use the tender items for the two that we have the firm numbers for. They do all have, my numbers all have a 10% contingency, although I said that wasn't normal, but for estimating purposes, that's normal. When it gets to a tender, we put in about 4%.
Just to follow up on that, I guess the other part of that is a lot of the people who got grants have used them up by now. We've been dragging behind a little bit here, so maybe advantageous to us because there's a lot of work that's already completed. There's a lot of companies out there looking for work, so it may be to our advantage here.
good point.
Yeah, no, it's a very good point, and the market is very soft right now. And you will get hot numbers if you tender today.
Okay.
Just on the FCM side of things, I pulled out all the things I thought were green, from the former tender. It comes up to about $1.6 million. There was $1 million from the FCM plus the low interest loan. We did talk to them, and they are, again, uncommitted. You've got to show me exactly what you're doing before we can give you a definite answer. We do feel that you could pull some of that green stuff out, and still retain the FCM grant, because the biggest environmental benefit you're getting, or the environment's getting, is that improved effluent criteria. You're going from a facultative lagoon down to, a tertiary state-of-the-art treatment plant sort of thing. Although we did recommend the sludge wetland be retained. You need to store sludge anyways and manage sludge, so you might as well retain that, and then you can, for the extra, for the planting and the habitat stuff, at two-thirds funding, you can, let you at least say we put some green stuff in it and work it that way.
Could it be tendered with those in as optional?
Yep.
And then you go after you get the tender?
Yep.
List them,
I recommend to do
sure that the green fund, when we get through the process with them, they will evaluate whether it meets the criteria. We might do a cost analysis before we let the tender.
You could, and you definitely, as you're right, you can put in all that stuff you want to take out, do it as provisionals, and
Yeah, under the Water Opportunities Act, Aqua has been sort of set up as the almost clearinghouse for new technologies, and we've had a number of very interesting green energy saving type things. One which is the Umballa, which would fit very well with this type of facility. So we can even look at other green technologies that are very easy to implement. The Umballa one is just basically sits on top of your SCADA system, and they actually give you rebates for the amount of energy shaved off of from your facility. And with your flow equalization capabilities, peak shaving, and getting credits for that is something that I would recommend really seriously looking at, because it's a perfect candidate site for that.
yeah, you actually can't get more perfect than what you have for that. And
Yeah.
those savings are